Honor understands attraction isn't a logical decision, but an emotional one. It is this knowledge that allows him to create attraction in most women he meets. He pulls, he pushes. He rarely says anything clever or profound, but he always engages women's emotional minds over their logical ones. That's the difference. One of the things I hate happening in social context is being overlooked, not finding your voice. And I feel like this is something that I have struggled with nearly all my life, especially when I was at school. I felt like I was always shunted to the side of conversation, that I couldn't contribute to the conversation without being acknowledged, of having something valuable to say, especially in the context of our female counterparts, of course. And what I wanted to share with you today is my theory, my masculine theory about being uncompromisingly masculine in order to be more polarizing in those kind of conversations so you won't be overlooked. And I have one personal method that I continue to use time and time and again that makes things not only giving you the results you want in not being overlooked, but you have so much fun. You have so much fun, and once you learn how to do it, it becomes almost easy to start any conversation and have the center of attention on you if you want, and kind of going into that remit of play and whimsical nature in terms of the masculine, which I know may be contrary to a lot of you watching this video now. They're saying, Joseph, whimsical, playful, fun, that sounds feminine. That sounds feminine. Well, here's the thing. Here's the point. And here is a big misunderstanding, I believe, in most masculine contexts when you're looking to bring a woman into your life, if you're looking to flirt, if you're looking to get a girlfriend, right? They say, go down this calm, stoic, unemotional road, right? That's the masculine, stoic, unemotional, unreactive, responsive, which I think does have a lot of credit to it. And it's very, very valuable, especially, I believe, in the success in long-term relationships. If you're more stoic, you're uncontrolled, you're controlling the ship, right? Here's the thing when flirting, though, and building attraction. Most women, listen to this part, most women misinterpret you being cool, calm, collected, and stoic with being boring. And the last thing you want on God's good green earth is someone to come away from a conversation with you and going, unremarkable, boring. I would rather them hate me. I would rather them hate me than me being described as boring after a social context. You want to affect people. You want to play with their emotions, which is one of the big misunderstandings most men have when trying to create that polarity early on in the relationship. So here is my uncompromising masculinity within the dynamics of maybe more flirting, the initial stages of building rapport in the start of the relationship. So there are some prerequisites that we need to understand first and foremost. The first is the daily experience and the interfacing of most modern women. What are they experiencing day to day comparatively to us men, which I can assure you is a drastic difference in their daily lives. The first one is they know they appeal to most men. They are not naive. They may be delusional, but most women know that they can have some kind of pull over most men because most men make it obvious. For example, if you ever see another man commenting underneath somebody's Instagram post with fires, waters, and aubergine emojis, I mean, has that ever worked? Really? I mean, you could have a 4 or 5, somebody clapped, and they still get that kind of attention nowadays. It is absolutely diabolical what lust, what untamed sexual energy does to, I want to say the average, any man really, if they don't know how to facilitate and transmute that particular energy for something more valuable, let's say, okay? Because most men validate this, the army of simps. We've gone through this, and this is something you know, but we need to provide context for how we're going to approach our theory later on. So Falling prey to over-compassion is perceived as a drooling, begging simp. Most men compliment. They over-compliment in the initial stages of attraction, building rapport, and perhaps, if they get that far, the early stages of relationship. And it makes you lose frame. Another way you can maybe describe that or understand that in your vernacular is control, the power dynamic within the relationship. You're giving it away. She already knows. So as soon as you I'm not saying, I've got to be careful on how I describe it here, but if you're being very, very liberal with compliments, she immediately puts you in a category of potential suitor to, oh, he's just one of the guys that comments fire emojis underneath all girls' pictures. He is going to be another particular general in my army of simps. Yeah, so that's how she's going to. All women categorize certain men. They put them in potential suitors, potential relationship, individuals maybe to fall back on for a backup plan. But moving in this kind of dynamic puts you in this category, and you certainly don't want to be in this category. Your behavior tells more. Being too nice is feminine and not polarizing. So it's behavior that is not indicative of you controlling the frame and controlling the power dynamic within the relationship, especially if you're already affirming what she already knows and you're validating it again and again and again and again. I think I made my point very clear here. So the second point is to distance yourself as much as you can from the average man in that regard. So we talked about over complimenting for sure, no problem there. Hopefully, no problem there. If I see fire emojis underneath Instagram girls' accounts, I'm coming for your head. No body language or tonality. This is a huge one, especially when you're talking about this cool, calm, collected, emotionless stoic, right? She's seeing that as boring. You're not fun, okay? Communication is only 7% of the words that are coming out your mouth. 38% of what you say is how you're delivering. It is your pitch. It is the way that it is landing with your particular, it could be your friend, it could be a potential suitor, right? You need to make sure your tonality is going up and down, and I'm being very self-conscious here at the moment about my tonality and how I am landing with my particular communication skills. Don't be afraid to zhuzh it up. Slow your cadence. Pauses, right? Speed things up, slow things down. It makes things far more interesting, far more fascinating, and it hits on a more emotional level than it does a intellectual one, which is a very key point in building attraction, right? Body language is 55%. What does your body look like as you're doing and saying the things that you're saying is critical for you in order to build rapport, build attraction. A lot of men get out of their bodies and into their heads whenever they're speaking to a woman, especially if they have problems with anxiety. Breathe deeply, diaphragmatically into your balls, as one of my mentors, Elliot Holtz, would say, and you will find yourself so much more at ease, present, and having fun. Like, you should be able to breathe into this area here and free up all those neurotic holding patterns, that tense, tight, taut energy in your musculature, in your chest, in your necks, in your jaws, in your fists as well, maybe even your pelvic floor as well. You should be able to breathe. I mean, this is going to be a soundbite here, but you should be able to breathe and feel the breath by your perineum, right? You should feel some pressure there. That's how you know when you're really out of your head and into your body. There is a fine line here between being overtly expressive with your body language, maybe using your hands too much, waving about, being a little bit of a joker. But I would always lean on that side of things rather than the other side of things of being boring. Again, the thing you want to avoid the most is just coming away as unremarkable. Or if someone goes, "Oh, did you meet Joseph? Who is he?" Who? I don't know who that is. That is so. Nothing could be more dangerous than being unremarkable in life. You would rather offend somebody deeply than be called and classified as unremarkable. Because even if you do get on the bad side of somebody, you've hit them here in the heart. You made them feel something, and you want to affect people in this life, okay? So use tonality, use your body language more than the word you say. Most of the words you say are going to be drivel anyway. You want to use your tone and your body language comparatively to what you say. It's always going to be more valuable. It always is going to be more valuable. No push and pull. So this is polarizing in its very nature. Pushing and pulling in this kind of dynamic is all about creating attraction, maybe with a simple compliment, and then maybe moving in with something like, they call it a neg, right? So it's kind of like I wouldn't say a backhanded compliment, but it leaves people confused about how they feel about the information being received. It might be something like, I really like your nose. It makes this cute little wiggle whenever you laugh. And that's a really interesting, I suppose, neg, because you are saying something positive about it, but the fact you said it wiggles when you laugh kind of makes it feel a little bit self-conscious. This is kind of dark psychology here. So you kind of have to tread, I wouldn't say tread lightly. Most of you guys need to be a little bit more polarizing than anything else. So try it out. See, if she slaps you, good. If she kisses you, good, right? It's all positive in that way. So you want to have some kind of push-pull and be sensitive towards when you're pushing more or when you're pulling more, and kind of intermediate between those. And the ways you can do that is look for IOIs, so indicators of interests. If she's initiating conversation, if she's looking at you, physical contact, another big IOI. Indicators of interest. I feel most men are maybe inept at sensing these, but I think if you practice any kind of mindfulness and presence, you should be able to, with attuned sensitivity, understand if an individual is displaying signs that they are interested in your company. Right? No, safe conversations. Safe conversations. You can see how all of this is tying into this element of being unremarkable, and you want to avoid that completely. Most men will enter with the cliche safe conversations. Where do you work? What do you do? How's the weather? All this kind of, but where do you live? All this stuff, right? Which is good information down the line. It can be valuable information once you've built attraction, but you want to build attraction initially. And it comes into this category here. Being logical versus being in your feelings, I guess. Most men operate here. We operate in the remit of logic, and we're good at that. You don't need any more practice with that. What you need to practice is the areas where you're getting people in their feelings, and particularly women, which comes onto some of my tools that I use in order to facilitate that particular outcome. So I've said this before, being stoic is interpreted by most women as being boring. And masculinity isn't boring. Masculinity is attractive, is playful, is creative, right? So they do want to have fun. I know that's a cliche saying, but it couldn't be more true. And that's why it is cliche. Use assumptions. They are fun. This is one of my favorite things to do of all times. And assumptions go purely against the grain of logic, because you can also have canned assumptions as well, which are nice, which is a list of assumptions in maybe your notes on your person that you can use on anybody, and you can use them for any kind of openness. So all an assumption is you blanketed an idea about somebody based maybe on an appearance, or it could be based on nothing. Could be based on nothing. So here's an example of an assumption. You look like somebody who is a fiend for a charity shop. You look like somebody that is a fiend for a charity shop. Now, I might go a little bit more brazen here and go, you look like you're a slut for a charity shop, because that inflammatory kind of language gets people again in their feelings. And you're liable to get a very strong reaction by using language that may be interpreted as inflammatory. And in that way, you are really moving yourself out of your logical mind and into your intuitive mind, more into your feelings, right? And she might come back with, yes, I am a complete slut for a charity shop. I enjoy going to this place, this place, this place. What made you say that, right? And then you can start to have a conversation based on energy, feelings, intuition, which is not predicated in logic whatsoever. I mean, you might say, I noticed your dress, or whatever the case may be is, but the reason I love assumptions is because they're very, very playful. They're not boring. They're not boring. It's like cold reading people. You're kind of looking at somebody and you're looking at the physiognomy, pardon me, of their face, and you kind of go, yeah, and you look like the person who's very artistic. I can see you maybe doing the pottery, yeah, making some pottery, or I can see you the kind of person who is really into meditation, and maybe you've got a dream catcher in your room. You've definitely got a meditation, journal or something like that. And one of the really good things about cold reads as well and assumptions in that way is that you can create your own thread on the kind of topic that you want to talk about. So if you want to talk about meditation, if you want to talk about spirituality, if you want to talk about God, if you want to talk about anything at all, you can make an assumption based on the thread that you want to start. And the thread is just a line of conversation predicated around a particular topic. And that's actually a really good way to ascertain whether or not you want to continue a conversation with somebody. Because if you talk to a girl, like I'm very spiritually inclined, right? My next partner has to be spiritually inclined. So one of the things I find myself doing whenever I'm doing assumptions is immediately going down a spiritual thread. And if they go, no, I've never meditated before in my life, I don't do yoga, I'm an atheist, you can immediately cut the conversation and you can move on. But if somebody is receptive to that, then you can start to build upon the conversation. And again, it's playful, it's light, and it's not predicated on any kind of boring and safe conversation as well. Bottom line with these is she's going to remember how you made her feel over the content, usually, right? Yeah, made you feel over what you said, which is why I place so much emphasis on body language and the tonality of what you're saying, why you're saying, how you're saying, what your body looks like as you're doing and saying the things that you are saying. And that is the most important thing. I think if I'm going to summarize this is you want to affect people. I've made that particular theory very, very prevalent in this video, and I want you guys to go away and show uncompromising masculinity in the way that you've made people feel over what they think about you. And that is all in play. It's being a little bit whimsical. I don't believe masculinity is solely pertaining to the confines of the stoic, emotionless, unreactive individual. I actually believe it's fundamentally married in God and spirituality. But God has a sense of play. So go and play, go and be polarizing, and don't be boring. Don't be unremarkable. Those aren't theories, they're facts. Speak soon.